Good evening. Okay, so it's Thursday night, night. What's this? The 26th. I'm going to try that double wall vase throwing thing again. Obviously, this is an angle for the camera I haven't tried before. Let's see. Might be fun, might be a complete waste. Should say that because I buy my clay mixed by someone else, they use a Deering pug mill, and so I don't have to spend as much time or effort wedging it before I throw it. I have to wedge it after I reclaim it. And because I'm potentially not as good at reclaiming as I ought to be, I often use my reclaimed clay to make very simple, small objects. So if the clay turns out to have mystery lumps or something like that, I don't lose anything big or important. In fact, I don't lose anything at all because the lumps are fine. It's just they make things that some people don't want to own. It's hard sometimes to know what people are used to or think of as a good pot. Okay, so I'm doing the double walled. And to have enough room for my fingers, it has to be a certain width. And what I'm going to be getting at with this project is that you don't have to be limited or constricted by that width. So in the end, what I'm hoping to make is a vase with a narrower foot than this pot has, simply by adding a thrown foot later in the process. Okay. So while I can get to it, I'm doing the best I can with this inner cylinder. And maybe a little too thin. It's getting a little wobbly. Okay, so you'll notice I'm only halfway up that throw, but I decided to fix the wobble before it got worse. Okay, so this cylinder, the inside side of this cylinder, doesn't really need to be any particular shape. In fact, it's going to be pretty boring and almost invisible because it's just a vase. I mean, it's just going to have the flower stems in it. It's not even like, a drunk person will be contemplating their sorrows looking in there the way they will if you make them a chalice or a mug. Some extra clay. So that's enough fussing with that. Now we're going to get the second wall, the outer wall. So I had someone ask, why do double wall at all? In part, it's there's a challenge to it, just a fun challenge to it. in my role with the up-and-coming potters I know, it's also been helpful, you know, as they get better and better, to challenge them and me to also get, you know, better and better, and to not just be complacent with the things that are already easy to do. I've also seen them in museums, so I mean, it's an actual, you know, historical thing to do. And it's related to the making of puzzle jugs. But the other thing I like about them, other than the novelty and the proving that you can, is that when you pierce the outer wall later in the decorative process, the darkness inside becomes this sort of perfect black, unlike a glaze or a slip, because it is the black of the darkness. That's why I tend to, with my double-walled things, no, not always, but I tend to prefer making them light-colored to improve that contrast between the glaze and the shadows. Okay, so at the moment these come together, there'll be a donut-shaped air bubble or air pocket. And that will, in effect, push back and keep the thing from collapsing. Okay. So this part is now a closed form. And the advantage there is if I push in one spot, the air pressure will compensate and you know, push back and so forth. Okay. The other thing too is I know I'm going to trim both for the shape of this and to remove clay. This is just an early stage. And that's part of the challenge with this project, is that not only is this not in any way the final shape of the project, it's not even the final size of the project, because this part will get narrower because I'll trim away extra clay, and the whole thing will get taller because I'll add a foot ring. So that's where we are. I could probably clean it up, but I'm going to put it under a bucket and let it sit and do that tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Good night.